Where'd you get that horse head?
People was trying to paint it like I'm threatening Coach. Who would do that?
Shedeur Sanders just sat down for an interview, and one question exposed exactly what Browns media has been doing to him all offseason. It is not about stats. It is not about the quarterback competition. It is about one gift, a horse head that a grown group of reporters somehow turned into a story about threats and mob movies. And when Shedeur finally answered it himself, on camera, calm, laughing, honest, fans went back and watched the original coverage again and realized just how far some of these outlets stretched the truth. Here is exactly what happened. So here is the setup. Shedeur sat down with a Browns media reporter, one of the guys who covers the team closely, and the very first question out of his mouth was not about the quarterback battle, was not about training camp, was not about Deshaun Watson. It was about a horse head, a gift Shedeur gave to his head coach months ago. And the way it got framed in the weeks after, some outlets ran with this idea that it was some kind of intimidation move, some kind of message, like Shedeur was pulling something out of a mob movie to send a signal to the coaching staff. Watch Shedeur's actual reaction to being asked about it again. He laughs. He says nobody has asked him about it in forever. He had basically forgotten it was even a story. That reaction alone tells you everything. This was never sitting in his head as some big statement. It was a random gift he gave a coach, and it somehow followed him around for months because a few reporters decided it made a better headline than just calling it what it actually was, which is a guy being thoughtful toward his coach. And that is the part fans are furious about right now. Because once you actually hear him explain it in his own words, calm and unbothered, you realize the entire narrative built around it was manufactured. Nobody forced Shedeur to bring it up again. A reporter did. And the fact that he could laugh it off instantly, no defensiveness, no tension, tells you this was never the story some people made it out to be. It was blown up after the fact by people looking for a headline, and Shedeur just had to sit there and answer for something that never needed an explanation in the first place. This is the pattern people are catching on to. Every time Shedeur does something small, something normal, something a lot of players do without a second thought, certain corners of Browns media find a way to make it sound bigger, darker, more calculated than it actually is. And when the real explanation finally comes out, it is almost always something completely harmless. That is exactly what happened here, and the tape backs it up.
But here he is speaking about the horse head heard around the world.
Let's get to the most important thing. Where'd you get that horse head?
What you talking about?
From Monk, the gift you gave to Coach.
You still talking about that?
No one's asked you about it. Have they?
Yeah, that was so long ago. I done forgot about the horse head. I was about to go buy a real horse last week.
The real one.
Yeah, I was about to buy a real horse last week.
Laughing
We building a horse stable at home, so I was about to get a black
Coach
horse.
Brown.
If a guy laughs that easily about it, does that sound like a threat to you, or does that sound like someone who forgot it was ever a big deal? Now, here's where it gets good, because Shedeur does not stop at the laugh. He actually explains where the whole idea came from, and it is not what anybody expected. He says when he was younger, extended family, an aunt, sent him a gift tied to horses. He was not even someone who was that into horses like that, but he remembered getting it and thinking it was such a cool, thoughtful gesture. That memory stuck with him, so months later, when he wanted to do something nice for his head coach, that memory is what he pulled from. He found a horse head, sent it over, and his coach loved it. That is the entire story. A guy remembering a sentimental gift from his own childhood and paying that same energy forward to someone he respects. There is no hidden message in that. There's no code. It is literally just Shedeur doing something thoughtful because it once meant something to him. And this is the part that should embarrass anyone who ran with the intimidation angle. Shedeur straight up says it himself. People were trying to paint it like he was threatening somebody, like he was pulling some Godfather horse head in the bed kind of move. And his response is basically, who would even do that? He points out he hasn't even seen The Godfather. That movie came out in the 1970s. A lot of guys his age in that locker room were not even alive when that reference was originally relevant, let alone thinking about recreating a scene from it as some kind of coded warning to their own coaching staff. Once you hear the full explanation, the aunt, the childhood memory, the sentimental value, none of it lines up with the narrative that got pushed out there in the first place. It sounds exactly like what it is, a young guy trying to do something kind for someone in his corner. Fans watching this back are pointing out that this is the actual difference between reporting and reaching. Reporting is asking him what happened and letting the answer stand. Reaching is deciding ahead of time what the story should be and working backward to make the facts fit it. This one clearly fell into the second category, and now that the full explanation is out there, it's not hard to see which side got it right.
So when I was younger, my aunt, I think, extended family.
Okay.
They shipped me, they was in the horses, they
your
shipped me a
friend,
nice
that's your
horse
aunt.
head, and I'm
I
like,
feel it, I feel
dang, this is crazy. So I remember it from my memories, and I'm like, dang, like, I know because Mike like horses and stuff, and I'm like, dang, I ain't even like horses like that, but I remember that gift. So I'm like, all right, that's a real cool gift. So then I just looked, found a horse head, and sent it.
And he loved it, so that's why I'm asking about it.
Yeah, I think it's more about like,
That is not a threat. That is a guy remembering a gift from his childhood and paying it forward. Simple as that. Here is where the reaction from people who actually understand the generational gap matters. The idea that a young player in his rookie season is going around referencing a movie from the 1970s to send some kind of coded threat to his own coaching staff never made sense on its face. But it took someone actually saying it out loud, someone slightly older, someone who grew up around enough pop culture to at least know the reference, to point out how big of a stretch that read on it really was. Think about it from a pure logic standpoint. If you are a young reporter or commentator trying to build a story and you know that reference lands with an older audience, dropping the word threat next to a rookie quarterback's name gets clicks. It gets shares. People argue about it in the comments. That is the business model behind a lot of that coverage, and it is exactly what happened here. A harmless, sentimental gift got dressed up in mob movie language because that language travels further online than the boring actual truth. And this is not the only example of that happening to Shedeur this offseason either. There have been outlets running headlines asking if he is even good without his old college teammate, or trying to pit him directly against his own quarterback room, all while he's out there saying things about togetherness, about building relationships with his new rookie class, about being excited for what is coming in training camp. That contrast is stark. On one side, you have Shedeur talking about team chemistry and being genuinely hyped for the young guys throwing to him. On the other side, you have headlines built entirely around conflict that does not exist yet. And in the Horsehead case, conflict that never existed at all. Fans watching the full interview back are calling this exactly what it is, a manufactured storyline that fell apart the second the person at the center of it was actually asked to explain himself. And he did not even get defensive about it. He laughed, told the real story, moved on to talking about his rookie receivers being amazing, and kept it moving. That is the tell. Guys with something to actually hide do not answer that easily and that openly. Guys who are living exactly as advertised, positive, focused, building relationships with a new team, answer it exactly the way Shedeur did here, without hesitation and without needing to defend himself from something that was never really a problem.
sentimental things, like, people was trying to paint it like I'm threatening Coach. Who would do that?
I don't think that's what that was.
Yeah, I ain't Scarface, and I ain't Godfather.
I ain't Scarface. I ain't Godfather. We have to realize, and I don't think the Browns media realizes it, and it's something that I'm older than Shadure. I'm not that older than Shadure, but I am older than Shadure. So at first I got like, because I used to watch too much Family Guy and I used to watch a bunch of stuff that referenced The Godfather. I haven't watched The Godfather. I gotta be honest with you. I know, yeah, y'all can give me the lashings that y'all want, but like I was like, that's why so many people, and including him, were like, what do y'all mean a threat? Like, I think they're trying to say it as a joke, but like that movie came out in the 1970s. like I don't think there's a lot of people that are rookies in the NFL that are coming in that know what The Godfather even is. Sadly, I know that's crazy.
A rookie quarterback should not have to defend a birthday gift level gesture as if it was a mob movie scene. That alone tells you who actually needed the bigger story here. Now zoom out, because this is bigger than one Horsehead story. This is about the type of coverage Shedeur has been dealing with since the day he walked into that building. Every positive update, every comment about team building, every rookie he praises gets buried under a headline chasing conflict that is not actually there. Meanwhile, the same interview that produced the Horsehead question also had Shedeur talking about how amazing the new rookie class looks, specifically the two receivers he has been throwing to in camp. He said flat out that he is not surprised by what they are doing early on because it is exactly what they did in college, and he is just happy to see them get comfortable in a new environment that fast. That is the actual tone coming from inside the building. Positive, focused, team first, and it barely gets covered compared to a story about a stuffed horse head that a few outlets decided to run with as some kind of hidden message. That imbalance is exactly why fans are furious watching this back. It is not that the reporter asked the question. Players get asked all kinds of things. It is that an entire narrative got built and repeated around something this innocent, while the actual substance, a young quarterback trying to build chemistry with his new weapons heading into a real training camp competition, gets treated like an afterthought. And here's the thing that makes it worse. Shedeur did not dodge any of it. He explained the gift. He explained the childhood memory behind it. He pointed out how absurd the mob movie comparison actually was, and then he pivoted right back into talking about his teammates, about togetherness, about being excited for the offseason grind ahead. He handled the entire moment the way someone with nothing to hide handles it, directly, honestly, and without letting it throw off the rest of the conversation. That is the version of Shadure that gets buried every time a headline-chasing outlet decides conflict sells better than context. Fans who actually sat down and watched the full clip are not walking away thinking he did anything wrong. They're walking away wondering why it took this long for the real story to get told the right way.
I thought that was real nasty. Let's see if there's anything more positive that they got going on.
You spoke before about it's not about competition, it's about team building.
Yeah.
How do you feel the team building is going here as we get ready to break for a month before training camp?
I think it's real amazing. I think the team, we got togetherness for sure, and we're gonna keep that going in the off season.
It get dangerous.
We're all gonna get together at some point and be able to get work in, and build those relationships even more. So I'm excited for that.
One version is a manufactured threat narrative built off a movie nobody under 30 has actually seen. The other version is a guy hyping up his rookie receivers and talking about chemistry. Only one of those is what is actually happening in that building. So let us recap what actually happened here, because it matters. Shedeur gave his head coach a horse head as a sentimental gift tied to a memory from his own childhood involving his aunt and a gift she once sent him. Some outlets took that innocent gesture and dressed it up as a coded threat, leaning on Godfather and mob movie comparisons that do not even land with a lot of the players in that locker room today. When Shedeur was finally asked to explain it directly, he did not get defensive, he did not overreact, he just laughed and told the real story plainly and honestly. That is the actual difference between the manufactured version of this story and the real one. The manufactured version needed drama to survive. The real version did not need any spin at all. It just needed someone to actually ask Shedeur and let him answer. And once he did, the entire threat narrative fell apart on its own. Fans who went back and watched this interview are not coming away thinking there was ever anything to this. They are coming away realizing how easily a completely harmless story got stretched into something it never was, and how calm Shedeur stayed through the whole thing without needing to defend himself in any dramatic way at all. So here is the real question for you. Do you think Browns media stretched this horsehead story into something it was never meant to be? Or do you think the reporters were just doing their job by asking him about it directly? Because there is a difference between asking a question and building an entire narrative off the answer before you even hear it. Shedeur handled this the way he handles most things. Calm, honest, no defensiveness, straight back into talking about his team. Drop your take below. Threat narrative overblown or a fair question that just got a simple answer? Let us know which side of this you land on, and while you're down there, tell us who you think wins that Browns quarterback room once camp actually opens. Smash like and subscribe.